Hi, it's day one. And why are you here? That is what we're going to figure out today. Why are you here? You need to keep asking yourself that forever. I ask myself that almost daily. Why am I still doing this? Why am I here? And guess what? The people that have had the most success with me over the last 4 or 5 years and stayed with fitness and kept good nutrition and they've fallen off the wagon, but they get right back to it. Guess who they are? They are the ones that have figured out why they want this, what is important to them, and why they keep coming back. So, to help you, I was going to share my story. And I don't want you to copy me. I want you to figure out what your why is. You can't do it for me. You can't do it for your husband. You can't do it for your mom. You can't do it for your sister. You can't do it for anybody. You have to do it for you and what is important to you. So, my why came about when I have two sons. My oldest is 10 and my youngest is 5. But when my youngest was born, I ended up with a C-section with him. And I couldn't figure out why. It really bothered me. He actually weighed less than my first son. I had a really easy labor with my first one. I mean, it was painful, but it happened really fast for the first one. And I only had to push like 3 times and he was there. But my second son turned into a 30-hour labor. It just didn't seem right. And then his head was shaped a little funny, and we all thought it was because I pushed and he was in the birth canal so long. But 2 weeks after his 2-week checkup, his head was still misshaped. It was just really oblong, kind of like, not quite like a football, but that's what I always think of, kind of like a oblong football. And it wasn't pointy at the ends, but it just wasn't round like a baby head. And I noticed there was no soft spot, or at least I couldn't feel it. So at his 2-week checkup, I mentioned it again to the doctor. They all acted like I was a little crazy that first 2 weeks. And so then at that appointment, I thought she was just going to tell me, oh, it's nothing, and, just go on with life and quit worrying. Well, that's not what she did. She instantly looked at me concerned and said that we needed to contact the Children's Hospital and get an appointment set up immediately. And I went home devastated, and I didn't know what to think or do. And it lasted for a couple weeks because I think it took a week or two to get him in. And then he ended up having major surgery at about 6 weeks old. He had no soft spot, and that is why he couldn't come out. His head couldn't shrink to fit through the birth canal, and it wasn't going to expand with his brain. So that's the scary part. It was not that big of a deal that I ended up with a C-section. I thought so at the time, but that wasn't the big concern. The big concern was facial mouth, like he just wouldn't look, his eyes would be crooked. And, 10 years ago, that is what happened, or brain damage. So we knew we needed to deal with it. And at the same time, going through that 6 to 8 weeks, it was really hard to stay happy. I was struggling. I struggled after my first son with postpartum depression. I never took anything. I just went for long walks and slowly lost weight and just got happier. I was determined to deal with it on my own. But with my second son, it was a battle, and I had gained a ton of weight. I didn't so much through my pregnancy, but that 6 to 8 weeks and that whole summer after he was born, I just kept putting on weight. I was comforting myself with food, and I would just eat because it made me happy. And I put on a ton. I think I was probably 85 pounds overweight. So that didn't help with my happiness either. Then a friend contacted me and wanted to know if I wanted to join her online challenge group. And I didn't believe it was going to work for me, but I knew I had to do something. I was miserable. So I decided to join her. It took me 2 weeks from the time that the package arrived. She would contact me all the time and ask me how it was going. And I finally got embarrassed enough that I hadn't even opened it. And I put in a workout. And I did one workout. I couldn't make it through the whole thing. And I sat on the floor and cried because I couldn't do it. And I had played sports in high school and I was a very active, uh, in my young 20s and teenage years. So I felt like my life was over. I felt like I was never going to be what I wanted to be in life. And so I vowed right then that I was going to become fit and healthy to be able to keep up with my boys. After going through that, I appreciated them so much that I knew I wanted to do everything I could to live a healthy life with them. So I did. I worked out every day. I started eating a lot cleaner. I pushed the workouts hard and I started reading books to help me just live in reality. I think I always thought I was going to live this fairy tale life, and no one does. And so I was living in a world that I felt like we never had enough money. I never had the right clothes. I never looked right. I never was going to be the skinny person. I wasn't the perfect mom. Our house wasn't perfect. My car wasn't perfect, and all of that. It helped me realize what is important in life and find true happiness. And so I hope this week inspires you and pushes you to figure out why you are here and what is motivating you to change your life. And I want to share some of these tidbits and pieces with you and what has helped change my life. So think on that one and really figure out why you're here. And you'll get 5 points for that one.